The bill lies before me like a grim verdict, $312. My fingers glide over the graceful cursive letters spelling Le Petit Jardin at the top of the page, while all around me, crystal glasses chime and cutlery scrapes delicately against fine bone china. A woman seated 2 tables away meets my gaze for a fleeting moment before glancing away. I recognize the look on her face, beauty cloaked in decorum. My makeup is likely a wreck. I can feel the dried mascara clinging to the corners of my eyes, but I resist the temptation to check my reflection in the polished knife blade. That would be far too on the nose, even for a night that's spiraled into this kind of disaster. Just 45 minutes ago, I walked in through these same doors practically weightless. I had sacrificed 3 weeks of coffee runs for this dress, a rich crimson piece that the boutique owner swore would turn every head in the room. The fabric still feels stiff on my skin, as if it's borrowing my breath. I had curled my hair, traced eyeliner with precision, glossed my lips to perfection, for this moment, for meeting Derek's colleagues, for his birthday celebration, for the version of myself I thought he wanted. The maitre d' approaches with a card reader, his footsteps slow and cautious, as if approaching something fragile and broken. "Take your time, miss," he says gently. My one functioning credit card feels nearly weightless in my unsteady hands. I know it's balanced down to the cent, $427. Once this payment clears, I'll have just enough to buy groceries until the next paycheck arrives. Maybe that's all I ever was. Derek's earlier words echo through my thoughts, as sharp and cold as the look he gave me when I arrived. That slight curl of his upper lip. I had assumed he was just anxious about introducing me to his coworkers. But now it's clear, he had already decided how this night would end. The cruelty unfolded slowly throughout the dinner, each remark slicing deeper than the last. When the waiter came to take our orders, Derek's arm shot out to intercept mine. "She'll have the garden salad," he announced. "Bold choice going for pasta with your figure." "Sure. Here's a rewritten version of your prompt that keeps the same length, meaning, intent, and detail, while changing the wording and structure." His co-workers let out polite little laughs, but I caught the unease flickering in their eyes as Derek introduced me. He didn't even bother to use my name. Just a vague flick of his hand. We've been together 2.5 years, and now it's reduced to seeing each other. I press my pen into the card reader. The numbers blur in front of me. 4 to 7. -1. -3. A soft beep signals the payment went through. My hand trembles as I scribble on the receipt. My signature is a messy scrawl I barely recognize. I don't feel connected to this anymore. Derek's final words replay in my mind. He'd slid the leather check holder toward me like it was something filthy. "Honestly, a girl like you should be grateful I stayed this long." Then he stood, tugging at the sleeves of that expensive suit jacket I helped him choose just last month. His colleagues followed, murmuring uncomfortable goodbyes. Their chuckles echoed behind them as they left, probably off to the wine bar around the block. I'd even helped Derek look up post-dinner spots, back when I thought I'd be going with them. I can't even cry properly, so I head to the restroom and splash cold water on my face. My hands cling to the marble sink as I look down at my phone. Monica's contact picture lights up the screen. She's laughing at her brother's wedding last spring, before Derek convinced me weddings were a waste of time. She answers on the first ring. "Care." Her voice is groggy with sleep. It's only just after 8 o'clock, but she works early shifts at the hospital and naps often. "Can you?" My voice cracks. I clear my throat and try again. "Can you come pick me up? I'm at Le Petit Jardin." "What happened?" she asks, fully awake now. I can hear her grabbing her keys, the jingle clear through the speaker. The tears finally escape. The total is $300. It's Monday. He just walked out and left me here. Don't move. 15 minutes. I hang up the phone and blot my eyes with coarse paper towels. When I return to my seat, a new server arrives with a small box. A complimentary chocolate souffle. She leans in and quietly tells me to take it to go. Outside, the maitre d' helps me collect my wrapped-up clutch. The chill of October air stings my bare shoulders. I remove my heels, the red-soled ones I thrifted just for tonight, and feel the rough pavement through my tights. My pride is in tatters. But I won't let anyone witness my tears. My phone vibrates. An unfamiliar number. He isn't the man he pretends to be at the office. The screen lights up with a message. You should know. It's from someone I don't recognize. Still, the name rings a bell, Jason. He was the only one of Derek's coworkers who actually shook my hand this evening, who met my eyes when Derek mumbled his half-hearted introduction. Another buzz. I just sit there, reading the messages over and over until Monica's headlights sweep across the front of the restaurant. My thumb hovers above the reply icon. A part of me wants to pretend this night never happened and leave it all behind. But a quieter, firmer part insists I deserve answers. Full, honest ones. After Monica drove me home, we stayed up talking and I cried myself to sleep, finally letting go of the betrayal and humiliation I'd been carrying. That was 4 hours ago. Still, I pulled myself together enough to set up a meeting with Jason when I got back. The next morning, the coffee shop window reflects my swollen eyes. I've reapplied concealer twice, but flashes from last night keep threatening to undo the effort. The barista pushes my Americano toward me with a gentle smile. I must look as bad as I feel. Caroline. Jason lingers near the corner table, his tie loosened, gripping his briefcase as though it's armor. His gaze flicks repeatedly toward the entrance. He's watching for Derek. Probably a smart move. Thank you for meeting me. My voice sounds calmer than I feel. I know this is uncomfortable. What Derek did last night. Jason lowers himself into the seat across from me. It's not the first time. The coffee burns my tongue. Good. The sting gives me something to concentrate on besides the nausea twisting my stomach. Jason opens his briefcase and pulls out a manila folder. Before I show you this, there's something you need to know. Derek isn't who he pretends to be at the office. What are you saying? He's not a project lead. He's a marketing assistant. The room seems to tilt. 2.5 years of stories, presentations for clients, out-of-town meetings, strategic decisions fabricated. That can't be. He was just promoted. He showed me an email from Robert Chen. Jason pushes a paper across the table. Check the header. That message went out to the whole marketing department. Derek copied the text and altered it. My hands tremble as I scan the email. It's a group congratulations to the marketing team, with no mention of Derek, no promotion. And those Chicago trips? The Phillips account? He's never traveled to Chicago for work. That account belongs to Sarah in digital marketing. Jason's tone grows gentler. Derek's main duties are setting up meeting rooms and managing admin tasks, things like lunch orders and coffee runs. The luxury business cards. The designer suits. All those stories about sealing million-dollar deals. My mind spirals back to every dinner where Derek monopolized the conversation, boasting about his high-powered career while brushing off my job in retail. It's cute that you're trying to move up in that world, he'd say. Somebody's got to keep Tucson stocked with budget handbags, right? District manager? Maybe shoot a little lower, babe. Stay in your lane. Each memory stings like a slap to the face. How many times did you plan dates that overlap with my friends' events? Always with the same tired excuse, a crucial client meeting you couldn't possibly move. You get it, right? Sure. But that wasn't the whole story. Jason pauses. The expense reports, the ones you said covered our dinners, got denied. Turns out, he wasn't allowed to expense personal meals. Every time, the same promise. You'd pay me back when accounting cleared them. 300 here, 400 there. I stopped counting after the first year. My phone buzzes. Diane's name flashes across the screen. Derek's mom. I say to Jason, should I answer? He shrugs. Up to you. I tap to accept. Hi, Diane. I try to sound cheerful. Caroline, darling. Just checking to see if you're still coming to Frank's birthday dinner next weekend. Derek said you two have some big news to share. I nearly choke on my coffee. Sorry, what news? Oh, he didn't say. Just that he was over the moon when he called last night. Said everything's coming together perfectly. Last night. While I sat alone at that restaurant, mascara smeared down my cheeks, Derek was feeding his family another story. Another lie. Diane, I can barely get the words out. She treated me like one of her own. Sunday dinners, holiday rituals, even the vintage brooch she gave me from her grandmother's collection. Don't worry, I won't press, she says warmly. Just wear something nice. I'm making your favorite chocolate pecan pie. The Collins. I stare at Jason as it hits me. Derek told them we're still together, that we have something to announce. Of course he did. Classic Derek. Move. He's using people as shields again. Jason's jaw clenches. Do you remember Melissa from accounting, his ex, the one who couldn't deal with how successful he got and started spreading rumors? She caught him lying during a family gathering about his position. He made everyone believe she was just bitter about his promotion and even got his parents to turn on her. She ended up transferring to a different office. Then Monica's text pops up on my screen. His dating profile's still active. He's been updating it for months. Olaf's voice rises, nearly frantic. I keep thinking things can't possibly get worse. I could show up. Jason adjusts his tie at the dinner table. I could say I need Derek's signature on some documents. Let the truth come out on its own. Do it. Derek's dishonesty affects everyone at the office. Others are constantly cleaning up after him, handling the clients he pretends to manage. Jason's face goes rigid. And after what he did to you last night, I'm done pretending everything's fine. I touch the vintage brooch fastened to my blazer. Diane's warm smile, her corny dad jokes. Their sincere pride when I became store manager. They have a right to know. But can I be the one to destroy their view of their son? Outside, the coffee's gone cold. The sky darkens. Rain's on the way. The symbolism's too obvious to be clever. I won't go after him out of spite, I say at last. But I won't lie for him either. If they ask outright, I'll tell the truth. Jason gives a slow nod. Sometimes, that's all we can offer. I pick up my purse. My legs are shaky. The weight of the coming choices and their fallout presses heavy on me. Yet beneath the anxiety, something else begins to stir, relief. As if the haze of gaslighting is finally beginning to lift, unveiling the steady ground under my feet. The truth is painful, yes, but deceit is worse. It hollows you out piece by piece. Each lie, each omission, chiseling away until you no longer recognize the outlines of your own limits. Over the next few days, I carefully plan how to expose the entire web of lies he's spun. And then there's the Sunday gathering. When the day finally arrives, I make my way to his parents' house. The front door of the Thompson home looms ahead, its polished brass knocker glinting in the light above the porch. I lightly graze my fingers over the fabric of my sage green sweater, the one Diane admired during Easter dinner. The same one Derek once said made me look pale and washed out. Before I can talk myself out of it, I knock, 3 firm raps echoing like my own heartbeat. Derek swings the door open, his face suddenly drained of color. What are you? He steps out onto the porch, pulling the door nearly closed behind him. What are you doing here, Caroline? Diane's voice floats out from the house. The door opens wider as she pushes past Derek, surrounding me in the warmth of vanilla and the scent of something freshly baked. We've been waiting for you, sweetheart. Derek's hands curl into tight fists, his jaw twitching with tension. I brought wine, I say, lifting a bottle of California Red, the one Frank raved about last Christmas. Perfect timing, Diane beams, slipping her arm through mine and ushering me in. I just set your favorite chocolate mousse cake in the fridge, she says as the familiar aroma of cooking herbs fills the air. The scent of rosemary roast permeates the house. Family photos line the hallway. Derek's high school graduation, Amber's college art exhibition, vacations spent together at the beach. My throat tightens at the sight of the newer pictures. Shots from last Thanksgiving. There I am, smiling freely as I help Diane in the kitchen. What do you think you're doing? Derek whispers sharply in my ear as we walk into the dining room. His breath is hot against my skin. Amber glances up from arranging the table, her eyebrows lifting at Derek's tone. She comes over and embraces me, murmuring, I'm glad you're here. The dining room table gleams, set with Diane's finest china, crystal glasses catching the light from the chandelier. A fresh sunflower centerpiece, my favorite, sits in the middle. My chest tightens at the thoughtfulness Diane has shown. All for the woman she believes will one day be her daughter-in-law. Caroline, tell me about that new regional role you're being considered for, Frank says as we sit down. Derek mentioned you're heading up some major projects. Derek's fork clinks loudly against his plate. Actually, Frank cuts in, eyes narrowing slightly as he looks at his son. I'd like to hear it directly from Caroline. I'm not sure what Derek has told you, I say cautiously. I'm still the store manager at Riverside Mall, but I've applied for the district manager role. But Derek said you'd already been promoted, Diane says, her brow furrowed. He told us about the team you're leading. That's not quite. Derek begins to explain, veering into work talk. Frank interjects, how's the Anderson merger going? You said you were leading that effort. Derek grabs his water glass. It's complicated. A lot of moving pieces. We're leveraging synergies for optimal outcomes. Amber lets out a quiet snort. You sound like a walking business buzzword bingo card. Now's not the time for this interrogation, Derek snaps, his knuckles white around the glass. Actually, I say, setting my fork down, heart pounding against my chest, I think now is exactly the time to be honest. Caroline, Derek says in warning. I'm not dating Derek anymore. The statement lingers in the room like a haze. We broke up last week, at my birthday dinner, but Diane's expression twists in bewilderment. The big announcement you promised for tonight? She asks. There isn't any news, I reply softly. And I think there may have been a few other miscommunications as well. The doorbell rings. I'll get it, Amber offers, pushing her chair back from the table. No one else was invited, Derek says, standing abruptly. I'll take care of it. But Jason's voice floats in from the front hall. Apologies for the interruption. Derek left these crucial documents at work. They need to be signed this evening. He enters the dining room holding a manila envelope, his eyes briefly meeting mine before shifting to Frank. Actually, sir, since I'm here, there's something important you should know about the Anderson account. Jason, Derek's voice sharpens. This isn't your place. My son is not involved in any merger. Jason continues, without faltering. He's been on probation for a month for taking credit for his colleagues' work. He's just a junior marketing assistant, not a project manager. The silence grows, taut and fragile, like glass under pressure. That's absurd, Derek says with a shaky laugh. Caroline, tell them what an incredible opportunity this promotion is for both of us. For us. My voice comes out clearer than expected. There's been no us since you walked out on a $300 dinner bill after saying I should be grateful you ever dated me. Under the table, Emma's hand finds mine and gives it a reassuring squeeze. You did what? Frank asks, his voice slicing through the moment like a knife. She's lying, Derek protests louder now. She's just bitter I ended things. She's always envied my success, trying to cling to it. That's enough. Frank rises, his chair scraping loudly across the floor. Now, Dad, wait. Derek starts, but the kitchen door closes behind them. Frank's voice carries through, firm and cutting. Words like disappointed, reputation, and consequences, slicing clean through the tension. Diane wipes at her eyes with her napkin. Caroline, I'm truly sorry. We had no idea. How could you have known? My throat tightens at the sight of her sincere anguish. He's your son. You believed in him just as I did. Jason places his phone on the table, the screen aglow with text messages. He's been boasting to coworkers about what happened at the restaurant, calling it taking out the trash. Diane chokes on a sob. Through the kitchen window, Amber slips an arm around her mother's shoulders. Outside, I watch Frank and Derek in the yard. Derek is animated, his gestures exaggerated, face flushed under the porch light. Frank remains motionless, his stillness more cutting than anything he could say. The chocolate mousse cake rests untouched at the center of the table, its top dusted with cocoa powder in the same swirling pattern Diane has always used since Derek and Amber were little. Some traditions endure, even as the narratives built around them begin to collapse. 15 minutes later, Frank returns alone through the kitchen door, his shoulders sagging beneath the weight of their exchange. Where Derek's car had been, only a patch of disturbed gravel and tire marks remain. Caroline, Diane says, breaking the silence from her place by the kitchen counter. Her fingers grip a dish towel. How long has he been lying to you? The question lodges in my chest. Not, why are you lying about my son? Or, what did you do to make him act that way? Just pure, honest concern aimed at me. I should have spoken up earlier. From the kitchen stool, Amber chimes in. The stories never quite matched. Last Christmas, when he mentioned his corner office, she continues, twirling a strand of hair around her finger. I knew the marketing assistants sat in cubicles. I just thought, she trails off. You wanted to believe in your brother. I finish for her. We all did. Frank walks over to the table and pulls out his checkbook. The leather cover lets out a soft creak as he opens it. The restaurant bill. How much is it?
Please, I insist.
You really don't have to. $312. Amber's tone is unwavering, plus the tip, which, knowing Caroline, she probably left despite everything. Frank nods once in acknowledgement, pen scratching against paper. My attempt at protest falters in my throat when I see his face. This isn't a matter of charity, it's a matter of responsibility. You're staying for cake. Diane isn't asking, she's already pulling plates from the cabinet. The fine china, with the gold rim. Monica is on her way, right? Before I can respond, I hear headlights sweep across the kitchen window. 2 cars have arrived. Monica's familiar Honda and, right behind it, Victor's silver Volvo. A laugh escapes from me unexpectedly. Of course, they planned this together. The kitchen is filled with a strange warmth. Monica greets Diane with a hug, as though they've known each other for years, not as strangers meeting in the wake of calamity. Victor shakes Frank's hand before being swept into a conversation about the restructuring of the marketing department. Amber and Monica bond over discovering they both volunteer at the same animal shelter. Diane serves me first, German chocolate my favorite. I never told Derek that I loved this cake, but I must have mentioned it to Diane during one of our long talks over holiday meals. The board meeting is set for Monday. Victor and Jason's voices drift over from their conversation with Frank. Air is involved now. The falsified reports, the expense claims, it's more than just about tonight. I focus on my cake, letting their voices become a distant hum. Eventually, dinner comes to an end, and I head back home, feeling a sense of relief. A week passes in snapshots. Derek's empty desk. Jason's workplace accounts are deactivated, and soon, his phone is flooded with angry messages, forcing him to block the number. Whispers of a rushed relocation to Colorado spread, with talk of staying in an uncle's spare room, a so-called new beginning. On a Tuesday morning, Amber sends a text. I'm so sorry about Derek. You deserve better from all of us. Diane, ever thoughtful, sends a tin of snickerdoodle cookies, wrapped in wax paper. Inside, a handwritten note in familiar, flowing handwriting brings tears to my eyes. Family isn't always blood. You're welcome here anytime. One by one, my apartment changes. The brown suede couch Derek had always deemed practical is now set aside for donation. The clothes he had always critiqued fill 3 bags bound for Goodwill. Goodbye to the sensible sweaters and professional skirts I wore to the salon. At last, I get the layered haircut I'd been dreaming of for years, something Derek had never liked. He preferred my hair long and straight, calling it more professional. By Wednesday afternoon the following week, Monica spreads out bank statements on my new coffee table, helping me sort through 2 years of finances that were never truly shared. Look at this, she says, pointing to a column of numbers. Your grocery bills have dropped by half without him. Funny how that works. The next day, as I browse through job openings, a district manager position catches my eye. My hands tremble as I fill out the application, but during the interview, my voice remains steady, unshaken by Derek's voice inside my head, listing every potential way I could fail. The range of possibilities stretches before me, wide and open. That first peaceful night arrives unexpectedly. No compulsively checking my phone for missed calls. No rehearsing conversations over and over in my mind. Just stillness. And the hum of the ceiling fan. And the weight of my own contentment. Then, the message arrives from an unfamiliar Colorado number. My thumb hovers over the block button, muscle memory preparing to shut yet another door. The message preview catches my eye. Caroline, I've been thinking. I watch the 3 dots, suspended in time. A universe of manipulation contained within them. They might hold everything I fear. Block read. Should I preserve my peace, or indulge my curiosity? The decision lies heavy in my hand. Heavy as a restaurant bill. Light as newfound freedom. A second message arrives. I know I hurt you. My finger moves deliberately. The next wave of messages floods my phone screen, lighting up one by one until 3 a.m. Each paragraph carefully crafted by Derek's brand of manipulation, designed to slip past my defenses with precision. My thumb hovers over the text, my muscle memory urging me to respond, to soothe, to explain, to make things right. I know I made mistakes, but my family betrayed me. They chose you over their own son. You turn them against me. The words blur into one another, familiar accusations dressed in the guise of an apology. 2 months ago, I would have been caught in his web. I would have spent countless hours composing the perfect response, trying to help him understand, to fix what was broken. I've changed. Colorado has given me perspective. When I come back next month, we should talk things through. You owe me that much. A laugh rises from deep within my chest, escaping unexpectedly, sharp and clear in the stillness of my room. The moonlight pours through the window, catching the frame of a photograph on the wall. I haven't removed it yet. Derek's family at last Christmas. Diane had her arm draped around my shoulders. Amber was playfully making bunny ears behind her brother's head. My fingers move over the keys, typing out a response. 5 words that, just 6 weeks ago, would have been unthinkable. Please do not contact me again. With a precise and swift motion, I hit the block button. Sleep becomes easier after that. The next morning, I bring up the message to Dr. Martinez during our weekly session. She leans forward in her chair, her silver hair shimmering in the sunlight. Since the breakup, I've been seeing her to continue my journey of healing. How did you feel when you read it? She asks. Nothing. The honesty catches me off guard. Well, not exactly nothing. More like recognition, as if watching a magic trick and finally understanding how it's done. She smiles, the lines at the corners of her eyes softening. That's what healing looks like, she says. One Thursday evening, Monica insists on celebrating a month of no contact. She shows up at my apartment with a bottle of wine and Chinese takeout. Just like the night of the restaurant fiasco. But this time, we're not curled up on my couch as I cry. We sit together on my small balcony, the crisp November air wrapping around us, keeping us at a distance. She raises her glass in a toast. The word no longer holds bitterness. I toast to my peace. The rest of the week passes without incident, no drama or surprises. Then, a week later, a text from Jason arrives. Coffee? No agenda. Just caffeine. We meet at a small cafe downtown, away from Derek's usual spots. Jason looks different in jeans and a faded Springsteen t-shirt. The polished corporate looks stripped away. We chat about everything except Derek, his daughter's soccer games, my new district manager application, the best pizza in town. The conversation flows so smoothly that lunch stretches into dinner. This is nice, he says as we split the bill. Just normal. I understand exactly what he means. A friendship without expectations. A connection without manipulation. When he casually mentions that his ex-wife's new boyfriend is taking his daughter to Disneyland, I smile, knowing that things are finally changing. I can sense the complex mix of emotions in his voice. Both of us are in the process of healing from our own wounds. Later in the week, an invitation to Amber's art gallery arrives in a soft blue envelope. My immediate thought is to decline Julie. The family obligation was tied to Derek, and it ended with him. However, the handwritten note at the bottom of the invitation gives me pause. Your eye for color always meant more to me than his. So, I pick up the phone and call her to confirm that I'll be there next Friday evening. The gallery is alive with the energy typical of a Friday night. Amber's landscapes showcase breathtaking sunsets, with colors so vibrant they almost seem painful. She greets me with a tight hug, her forearms streaked with paint. Mom and Dad are coming later, she says. They'd love to see you. I briefly feel the old urge to avoid any emotional complexity, but I resist it and stay. When Diane and Frank arrive, there's no awkwardness, no mention of Derek. Frank asks about my district manager interview, and Diane shares stories about the latest successes in her garden. Later, Diane pulls me aside. He did this before. The lies, the manipulation back in college. We thought, we hoped. She squeezes my hand. I'm sorry we didn't warn you. I shake my head. You couldn't have. I tell her that at the time, I wouldn't have believed it. With the friendly conversations continuing, the exhibition eventually comes to an end, and I return home. The next few days are filled with work preparations, phone calls, and my ongoing healing process. Eventually, the day of my district manager interview arrives, a Tuesday. I head to the headquarters, wearing a new blazer I bought with my own money, in a shade of green that Derek would have despised. The interview panel consists of 2 regional directors and a VP from corporate. Tell us about a time you demonstrated resilience in a challenging situation, the VP asks. 6 months ago, I might have responded with a standard retail anecdote about holiday rushes or difficult customers. Instead, I talk about the French restaurant, about keeping my composure and professionalism while my personal life fell apart, about learning to trust my instincts and establish boundaries. Sometimes, the hardest person to manage is yourself, I conclude. But that's where true leadership begins. Once the interview is over, I take a long walk in a nearby park before heading home. Then, it's just a matter of waiting for the results. 3 days later, the job offer arrives. The salary is enough to take my breath away, more than double what I currently earn. The territory encompasses 6 stores, one of which is the high-end coffee shop where Derek used to hold court, weaving elaborate tales about his non-existent corner office. Today marks my first day, and as I walk through the doors, I step into my new role as district manager. The morning rush is alive with energy, the sharp, familiar scent of coffee filling the air. A barista, one I haven't met before, hands me my Americano with a friendly smile. "Welcome to the team," she says. I find a seat by the window, the same spot where Derek once told me I should be grateful for his brutal honesty about my limited potential. The warm morning sunlight brushes my face as I sift through inventory reports, plan out staff evaluations, and strategize goals for the upcoming quarter. The door chimes, and a young woman enters, her shoulders tense with anxiety. Her date's arm is draped heavily across her. I immediately recognize the posture, the forced smile. For a brief moment, I see myself 6 months ago, desperately trying to shrink, to meet someone else's expectations. Our eyes meet, and I smile, not out of pity, but in understanding, in recognition of her struggle, and perhaps even in hope. She straightens a little. Something shifts on her face. Understanding? Maybe. Or the spark of possibility. The sun rises higher, casting amber and gold hues over the coffee shop. My phone buzzes with a text from Monica about dinner plans, another from Jason inviting me to catch a movie this weekend, and a photo from Amber showcasing her latest painting. I take a sip of my Americano, savoring its rich bitterness. Sometimes, the things we lose create the space we need to find what matters most. Sometimes, truth comes to us when we least expect it, dressed as disaster, yet it arrives just in time to set us free. A year has flown by, full of new challenges and fresh experiences. I've earned a promotion, and now we're celebrating at my home. The wine glasses shimmer in the evening light, scattering prisms across my new granite countertops. Monica arranges another platter of appetizers while Amber adjusts a framed photo on the wall. Last week, I celebrated my promotion surrounded by my district team, and the moment captured in that photograph still feels almost unreal. My smile was genuine, my posture confident in my power suit. It was perfect. But then, Earth to Caroline, Monica waves her hand in front of my face. "The stuffed mushrooms are ready." "Where should I put them?" she asks. I gesture toward the space between the cheese board and the bruschetta. "Sorry, just taking it all in," I reply, my eyes scanning the new apartment. I'm still in awe of how different everything looks when you pick it all yourself. The coral accent wall, which Derek would have hated, stands out. The artwork from local painters speaks to my soul, unlike his version of sophistication. Just then, Jason steps into the kitchen doorway, holding up an empty wine bottle. "Think we need backup? Want me to grab another from your pantry?" "Second shelf on the right," he suggests. Our eyes linger on each other for a moment longer than necessary. Over the past year, a series of coffee meetups and casual dinners have created something steady and meaningful between us. Neither of us is rushing. Both of us know that healing takes its own time. My phone buzzes, and a message from Frank appears with a link to an article about startup failures in Colorado. Apparently, Derek's latest venture collapsed last week, allegedly due to inflated credentials and misrepresentation to investors. I delete the message without opening it. His struggles stopped being my concern months ago. Caroline? Amber calls from the living room. Tell everyone about your travel plans. The conversation shifts to my upcoming solo trip to New Mexico. 3 days of hiking, photography, and total freedom, no one telling me what to order for dinner. My chest expands with the simple joy of being able to make choices without having to think twice. Later, after the plates were cleared, the 4 of us made our way to the Liberty Garden for the next round. This time, Monica sat across from me, with Jason and Amber on either side at the round table. The maitre d', Thomas, whom I now know by name, greets us with sincere warmth. "Is this your usual table, Miss Walker?" he asks, gesturing. "Window seat. The best one in the house."
Perfect.
There's no hesitation in my voice now, no lingering uncertainty from 6 months ago. The burgundy leather menu feels different in my hands today, no longer a burden, but an opportunity. "I'll have the Coke over," I tell the server. "And please, start us with the escargot." Norman's on board with my choice. No one else needs to weigh in. Jason raises his glass to truth and its path. The crystal chimes with a pure, sweet sound as our glasses meet. When the check arrives, I slide my card into the leather folder without a second glance at the total. My recent promotion has made me confident enough to handle whatever amount it reads. The quiet power of that gesture fills me with a sense of calm satisfaction. Once the round is finished, we all head home. Back at my place, I sit at my desk and open the leather-bound journal Diane gave me last month, just because, she'd said, squeezing me tight in a hug. Our weekly phone calls have become an unexpected constant in our lives. My pen moves across the creamy pages, writing the words that have been on my mind. Looking back, I can see how I ignored so many signs because I wanted to believe that love alone could be enough. But real love never brings you shame, and it definitely doesn't fabricate a resume. The truth of that statement settles deep within me. My phone lights up with Diane's nightly check-in message, a simple heart emoji. Her way of saying she's thinking of me. I send one back, reflecting on how losing what I thought I wanted led me to exactly what I needed. Tomorrow morning, I'll meet with Sarah, a promising assistant manager at one of my stores. She reminds me of myself 2 years ago, smart, dedicated, and far too eager to shrink herself for the sake of others. I go over my notes for our mentoring session. Another page of the journal filled. Everything I wish someone had told me. Everything I had to learn the hard way. Standing in front of my bedroom mirror, I adjust my blazer, preparing for tomorrow's executive team meeting. The woman I see in the mirror looks like me, but stronger, steadier. My eyes fall on the framed note next to my jewelry box. It's the official letter announcing my promotion to district manager for Southern Arizona retail operations. After making the final preparations, I settle in for the night. The following day, after my shift, the doorbell rings. Jason's here to pick me up for dinner with my new colleagues. I pick up my purse, taking a moment to straighten the photo of my team on the wall. Just a year ago, I couldn't have imagined smiling like that ever again. But now, I understand that the truth has a way of emerging, and sometimes it liberates you in ways you never thought possible. My heels echo sharply on the hardwood as I make my way to the door. With each step, it feels like a triumph.